Hi, I'm Guido from WACOM, and in this video I will show you how you can work with WACOM tablets and pen displays in an educational context. So what I show you now in the next couple of minutes is how to use a WACOM tablet on a Windows system in an Office package, and also give you an introduction how to use WACOM products at schools in hybrid learning, e-learning, remote learning, and remote teaching. So have fun. So let's start. So let me switch to my PowerPoint presentation to start with a few slides. Okay, so again, my name is Guido Moeller, Senior Manager, Product Management and Solution Consulting. I'm with WACOM since 20 years now. And what you see now in the presentation is based on my experience in this segment over the last years. And as I mentioned, I'm using here my WACOM 1 pen display. You can see it in the small picture, which is connected as a second screen to a notebook. On the notebook is running a Windows operating system, and in this case, Microsoft PowerPoint. And the first thing I want to show you is that when you switch into presentation mode and you have a pen tablet connected, you can see that the pen is not working as a mouse cursor, but is working basically as a pen, as you would do on a traditional media or on a classic overhead projector. So, and the pen, not only in graphics application, but also in PowerPoint, is very smoothly. So it has pressure levels, so it looks very natural. It looks like you would use a pen on paper. And basically, by using a WACOM pen display, it almost feels like pen on paper. So there is no learning curve. You can immediately start drawing and change from a traditional way of working in an analog world into a digital world with the Microsoft PowerPoint as a presentation device, but keeping the same habits. And this is what all the presentation is about here. Also, I use the pen here to move in my PowerPoint presentation. So I have the small icons in the lower left area, which I can advance to the slides. And if I go here, I also have some more tools which make PowerPoint presentations quite pen-centric. So here, this one I want to highlight as well. This small icon gives you the tools which are pen-driven, which can be a laser pointer, just to highlight stuff without drawing anything on the screen. I do have a highlighter here, which is a classical highlighter, which I can use to highlight stuff. And last but not least, the pen. And for the pen, I can also have different colors up here. For example, that one. So, okay, and what it's all about? Oh yeah, last but not least, I have an eraser as well to get rid of the drawings which I don't want. So, what we think as WACOM, so we are dedicated to the pen, to bringing the pen, the natural input, the intuitive input into the digital world. First of all, who are we? Who is WACOM? So WACOM is a Japanese company, not an American company, as many people think. So that's why it is called WACOM and not WACOM. Wa is kanji for harmony. So it's all about harmony with computers. That is what is the Wa and the Com is about. And we are since almost 40 years in the business. So we are the pen leader, the global leader on pen technology and pen display products. We are coming from the creative community. And still our main stronghold is the creative industries with companies like Disney, Lucasfilm, Pixar, using our products all day. But we are also an OEM solution provider for companies like Samsung and Lenovo using our technology. But everything we do is all about the pen. So all devices we have here, there's always a pen included in what we do. So, and let's go next here. And this presentation is especially focused on the educational topic. WACOM is not new in education, so we are doing this since a long time as well. But the whole topic around digital education and digitalization of education has significantly speed up during the last year due to the COVID pandemic situation. So what we see here, and what is especially happening, still happening since a year, the education system and the education itself is evolving completely. So I have a few topics here, which I also want to explain and cover in my presentation. So it's due to the shift from an analog or from traditional teaching into digital teaching, it's becoming way more interactive. So teachers and students now prefer also more discussion and dialogue. Why is this? Because if these discussions and the dialogue between teacher and student is very natural if you are in presence at schools in the classroom. But if you're in a digital world, you have cameras on both sides, you have microphone, so there is some distance. And that's why the interaction is even more crucial to get a good learning experience. And at the end of the day, the joined up approach that we have to see the big picture is just as important as the individual subject. So the whole system has to work to make the whole educational situation more bearable or even more comparable with traditional lessons at school. At the end of the day, also the use of digital tools gives us more ways to improve our practical understanding and work on topics. So it's more valuable also than just knowing facts and reading a Wikipedia article or reading just a math lesson book. So we call it applied knowledge. And at the end of the day, we are talking about a complete digital disruption. So it's a new technology, and it has already, and it is still continuing to transform the teaching and the learning experience on both sides, on the teacher side, but also on the student side. And as we are a pen company, we believe in the educational value of handwriting, because handwriting or using a pen is what you use from the very first years in human life. So when you grow up as a child in kindergarten, you don't start drawing your pictures with a mouse or a trackpad. No, you use a pen. You use, of course, an analog pen, but you use a pen. So that's why we think the pen still rules, because it will go along with you over your whole career, from kindergarten kid to first primary school, secondary school, student level, and even later in professional work, you will still use pen and handwriting skills. So why we think the pen still rules? Because the pen is intuitive. So pen feel really familiar and comfortable to everyone. No matter if I give a pen to a 4-year-old child or to a 95-year-old grown-up, everybody knows how to use a pen. Try this with a mouse or a trackpad or any other input device. This will get more complicated. The pen is known and feels familiar and comfortable to all of us. And also, a pen is more versatile than any other input device. So pens can be used for drawing, pens can be used for sketching, pens can be used to do handwriting, pens can be used to do annotation, to note down formulas. So all these specific tasks will enhance your teaching and learning experience. And last but not least, the pen also controls the mouse cursor, so you can control all the application which supports mouse control by a WACOM pen. At the end of the day, also, this is what we know already from traditional teaching, the use of pen and the noting down and writing down of tasks is better for your learning experience. So because there are studies that show that writing with a pen boosts learning and memorization and retention of whatever input you do. It can be a formula, it can be a text, it can be a drawing. This is proven since years from the good old analog world. At the end of the day, it's about how can I get from shifting from presence education into e-learning or remote teaching, how can I still keep or even enhance the engagement between the teachers and the students? So we think if you use a pen or WACOM pen solution will enable you or let teacher and student learn better together. So you can get a better quality interaction by using, for example, as you could see here on the lower picture. So the pen display really replaces a very familiar way to teach while facing the class and not the whiteboard or the chartboard. So your eyes are always focused on the class in a hybrid lesson, or to, as you could see here, this is a second screen to my monitor, and I can have all my creative or my, I would say, content presentation on one display. And here on my notebook display, I have all the infrastructure, like the camera windows. And This is also a big advantage of using a pen display in combination with a notebook computer than having a tablet like the iPad, because on the iPad, this is your screen and you have to share the screen real estate between the infrastructure part here on the left and the content part on the right. And if you have a small tablet, it's really becoming cumbersome and it's not intuitive. It's not intuitive. You could feel stressed as a teacher, and this is completely different if you use a multi-screen solution like here with dual screens, one focused on content and one focused on the infrastructure. So the interaction quality is getting much better. And especially also if, for example, on the top picture, the student also has a small tablet, they can interact with you in real time. So for example, if you have a drawing like here, a mathematical formula, you can do a question and answer lesson and people can add content in handwritten form or even in scribbles. So this is something which is even hard to replicate in traditional teaching experiences. Second part I want to mention is, yes, due to the digitalization, we have richer content. So we can use multimedia learning materials that have an impact, especially in the so-called STEAM and language lessons. So STEAM means science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. And language skills can be English, German, Romanian, or whatever language you want to teach. So the pen gives you an additional angle to this multimedia learning experience. And last but not least, and as mentioned on the previous slide, due to the enhanced interaction and more dynamic and memorable learning process, and also working in a collaboration environment, which I will explain later also when we talk about software. So the impact of your lesson as a teacher, or the experience from the student side, is much deeper. So the memorization of the content is much better than using just a PowerPoint presentation without any annotation and just reading through the books. At the end, also, what we want to push forward is the idea of integrated flexibility. So our pen solutions, be it pen tablets or pen displays, can be used in almost all environments, in all systems. So our products are highly compatible. So they can be just installed to any PC, but not only to Windows PCs, but also to Macintosh PCs. They will run on Linux operating systems, and some models even run on Chrome OS and on Android. So we are highly compatible, and this is also an advantage being in the market for so many years. A lot of other companies in the software and hardware space know us, know WACOM, and making sure that whatever they do works seamlessly with our devices, be it software from third party, but also operating systems. And, excuse me, it is also that you need only one driver to make all WACOM tablets work. So it doesn't matter if you have the entry-level product for 39 euros or the high-end product for 3,500 euros, one driver to make them work in your school or in your private lesson, which is quite important if you install a tablet in a school. The IT staff in the school doesn't want to mess around with different driver versions for different tablets. There's just one driver which works for it all. As I said, our tablets are easy to use. So everybody who can work with a pen can work with a WACOM tablet as well. And they're adaptable. So all our tablets work basically the same. They have a pressure-sensitive pen with no batteries, completely maintenance-free. And it doesn't matter what your educational setup is, it just works. Why is this? Because by default, the pen replaces the mouse cursor control. So you add any application you can control with a mouse cursor, you can control with a WACOM pen. Of course, more advanced applications, like in this case, the Office application, support also pressure levels or supporting the eraser of the WACOM products. So completely customizable as well. At the end of the day, it's a bit easy to say. Our products are low-cost, low-effort products. Low-cost doesn't necessarily mean that they are cheap. No, but we are in the market here to stay. And also, if you implement a WACOM product to your school or to your remote teaching environment, you can be sure that you get a top quality product with minimal maintenance. As said, our products are battery free and cordless pens, so they're completely no maintenance and also sustainable. They are secure. There's just one driver needed, and since we don't store any information on our tablet, and since we don't have any built-in operating system, that means minimal risk against malicious software, and also they are fully GDPR proof. And at the end of the day, they're hassle-free. So as I mentioned, they work with any operating system. There's no lock in a specific ecosystem to a specific hardware or specific whiteboard. They're easy to use, and that also keeps us different from our competitors in the market. We have a global support and training organization. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world. You can call a local number and you got always support either by phone or by chat on the internet. This is where we're really taking care of our customers here. And as I already mentioned, since day one in the WACOM history, we had a battery-free pen. That means the battery is missing. There is no charging inside. So the pen is quite lightweight, but ergonomic. It's completely maintenance-free and sustainable. No cables, no wires reaching from the pen and to the tablet, and no need to recharge or change the batteries, which you often have in situations where you really don't need it. Okay, let's talk about some use cases here. So let's talk how we can use a tablet and how a tablet can solve problems in the digital classroom. So as I mentioned, our pens can solve problems where keyboards or other input devices could be a challenge. So we are not only talking about the typical, I would say, STEAM lessons like math and sciences, including physics, biology, and chemistry, where you can, for example, look here, draw formulas, draw like in this example, the Pythagorean theorem. But also if you go to languages, you can just import PDF and Word documents, and in these documents, you can review the text and the homework from the students and put in annotations and markups like you would do on traditional paper homework. If you go to social sciences, you can quickly visualize a process or draw a quick mind map. Very intuitive. So without using any additional software tools, you can use it on a blank, I would say, slide in PowerPoint or on a whiteboard application. And if you go a bit more advanced, looking into whiteboard applications which allow collaboration over the internet, you can brainstorm between students and teachers with direct interaction. So you can work on the same topic with as much students and teachers as you want. This is something which is even hard to mimic or replicate in traditional educational environments in presence at schools. And of course, last but not least, to teach art. So if you have art lessons, if you have to review art works from great masters, or if you have to just to introduce art to your students, you can draw, you can paint with a WACOM tablet very easily, like you would do on natural media. Again, the power of handwriting. This is a good example, as I think this is the Pythagorean theorem as you could read it in Wikipedia, a lot of black and white text. And if you read this to your students, they can easily get bored and say, yeah, okay, I can read this on my own in Wikipedia. But how about changing your blackboard for a pen display? So you can still focus on the content and not on the medium. So you keep teaching the way you are used to. So forget about this one and just draw these quick jot here and have the Pythagorean theorem in a small graphic application, which is way more intuitive and way more easy to understand. Okay, let's talk about some customer scenarios. Let's look more in detail how and in which environment a WACOM tablet can be used in different scenarios. So let me talk about 3 different scenarios here. So the first one are really related to school and to education directly. First one is, as we call it, K-12. K-12 means from kindergarten to the age of 12, this we call, which is basically primary school, secondary and primary school, 6 to 12, or maybe 4 to 12 years. And here you can put a WACOM tablet at least at the teacher's desk in every classroom. And here you can already see the benefits of using a WACOM tablet combined to traditional media or even to interactive whiteboards. As you could see here in this picture, there is a WACOM tablet on the teacher's desk, and the teacher is teaching by drawing on the interactive pen display. And the eyes of the teacher, like you could see here, are always focused on the audience. This is different from using a blackboard or a whiteboard. If you add something on your white and blackboard, you have to turn your back to your students to write down something. And this is way more intuitive and way more engaging with the audience when keeping eye contact. And the WACOM pen display is connected to a PC, and the PC is also connected to a projector, as you could see here, and projecting the signal or the content to the wall behind you or to the whiteboard behind you. So if we talk about K-12 environments, we can see WACOM products in classrooms, in labs, in makerspaces, but nowadays we see a lot of WACOMs in distance learning facilities and also in the whole ecosystem of remote teaching or home-based learning. And if we go to higher education, which means basically university, here we just replace the classrooms with the lecture halls. There are still small classrooms for breakout session and labs, but at the end of the day, the distance learning facilities and the remote and home-based learning doesn't differ so much from K-12 in here. And what is also quite interesting, and this is also what we have learned during the last year, that the whole field of corporate education is also getting a lot of dynamics here. And if you go talk about corporate education, we can just replace the lecture halls with a meeting room. And as you could see here, it doesn't differ so much from a school situation. If you do it, for example, holding your presentation in PowerPoint to your colleagues or to your customers, it is also way more intuitive and attracting to the audience if you do handwritten. Okay, so, and what is important is that we don't have just one product which fits all. So now we have solutions for every situation and also for every budget, especially if we look on teacher and student side. So we are having entry-level products for teachers and students working at home. We have our professional creative pen displays. They are more for art schools and art universities, people who are passionate about teaching art, and for people who are studying graphics design, studying game art or film and movies. They would probably go not with entry-level products, but they need the tools they face later in the industry, which are our creative pen displays for professionals. And also growing market is the integrated solution. So we are working also with a lot of partners all over Europe, and we have products ready which can be served as integrated solutions to be integrated into the schools or university audiovisual system. So I have some pictures later on, which I would like to show you and highlight. And last but not least, WACOM products are also compatible with all operating systems, Windows, macOS, Linux, Chrome OS, and Android. And very important nowadays, also here in the EU, they are GDPR proof. For teachers who are not really used to work digitally, to give them a help to enter the digital domain in a more easy and more intuitive space, we also have brought up the education software promotion from WACOM. That means that for certain products like the WACOM One, like the Intuos, and like the One by WACOM product, we not only deliver the hardware, but we also give the offer to the teacher to download 5 applications in the educational context and use them free of charge for 3 months in a non-limited way. And this period gives the teacher enough time to look into each of these applications and find out what would be the right application he probably would later continue his or her curriculum when doing online teaching. And all of these 5 applications are in the educational segment, but they have all slightly different angles to go into these segments. So in the next couple of minutes, I want to show you, give you an introduction on these 5 apps and what they do. So as said, the offer is that every customer will get free access to 3-month free of charge use if he buys a One by WACOM, Intuit, and WACOM One product. And these 5 applications are Limno, Pear Deck, Kami, Colorboard, and Explain Everything. So let's go one by one. Let's start with the Kami app. And the nice thing with these applications is they all run in your browser. So no matter if you are on Windows, Macintosh, Linux, or Chrome OS, just open any browser, Safari, Edge, or Chrome, or Firefox, enter the URL, and then all the apps are browser-based, which makes them quite independent from operating systems and also from the device you're using it. In theory, you can use them on a notebook, on a desktop, on a Chromebook, but even on your phone with a WACOM tablet. So, but let's start with Kami. Kami is an educational PDF editor. So you can edit your PDFs in the browser by using pen-based tools like highlighters and annotating tools like pens, but it's optimized for teaching in virtual classrooms. So that means that you can not only import PDFs and annotate them, you can also store them at Google Drive. So they have a native link to Google Drive and also an integration into Google Classroom and G Suite and also other Google education systems. You can also enrich your PDFs by adding formulas, signatures, you can add speech, you can add audio, you can add video comments to a PDF. Everything works in the browser, and it also has an OCR, so optical character recognition engine, where you can convert your PDFs into typed text and can continue working on the documents in Microsoft Word or other word processors. Second one is Explain Everything, which is also a very popular application from a team here in Poland, so in Europe. This is an educational online whiteboard where you can work on a blank canvas with your WACOM pen, and you can do drawings, you can do shapes, you can do import PDFs and Office documents and do annotations on the whiteboard. What makes them unique is the one-to-one collaboration, so you can collaborate with either one student or the whole group, and the video recording bit. So this Explain Everything has a big red button, which if you press the button, it records the whole session. It records what you are drawing on the whiteboard. It also has microphone access, so it is recording your speech. So, and if you want, you can save it afterwards as a movie file and send them to your students for a recap or to put it into archive. So it's basically an interactive whiteboard with an internal recording application to do basically screen-based recording or screencasts. In addition to that, it has also an infinite canvas, so you can do a lot of school lessons on just one canvas, although you can do multiple documents as well. And it also comes with a lot of custom templates and clippers and doodles to enrich the student experience. Another very nice application. I like it very much. Pear Deck is, again, going into a complete different angle. It's not an interactive whiteboard. Although it's browser-based, so it's also run in the browser, it's more a plugin for Google Slides and PowerPoint. And as a plugin, it gives you additional features for your PowerPoint presentations. So what it can, or for your Google Slides presentations. For example, it can add, you can see here, you have a lot of templates also to add polls, to add interactive questions, to add drawing for students, feedback pages, all functionality which is not part of standard PowerPoint and standard Google slide presentations. And it also has a kind of teacher mode where you as a teacher can control the input from the students in the classroom by just clicking on one button and sharing basically one link with your students. So the whole interactivity, the collaboration idea, and the enhancement of activities with PowerPoint and slides is very strong with these applications. Then another one, which is called Limno, also very interesting application. So this is an interactive whiteboard. You can import PDFs, JPEGs, PowerPoint, Excel, and all the stuff. Very, I would say, normal for interactive whiteboard applications. You can work in a collaboration environment interactively with your students. It runs in a browser, of course, but what makes this unique is the integrated video conferencing tool. So basically what we are doing right now in this session is that we have, for example, opened a Zoom or Teams conference or a conference in WebEx, sharing my screen and doing the whiteboarding here in PowerPoint. This can be done all in Limno. So Limno has an integrated, you can see it here, integrated video conferencing module. And don't forget, you just need one browser window to make it work. So here you can have your videos, which can be either unidirectional, so as a broadcast, you only facing the camera and the microphone, broadcasting to your students, or you can have a two-way link like here with also the students being on camera and on microphone. So besides this, it has the usual tools like markers, sticky notes, and importing all the documents. Also a very nice and also intuitive to use application. Last but not least, let's talk about Colorboard. This is an educational whiteboard with focus on collaboration, and they are very, I would say, picky on data security. So the problem with most online whiteboards is that the server can be anywhere in the world. And especially here in Europe, it can be a huge topic of discussion where the data is going and where the data is stored. And Colorboard really makes sure that this data is stored within the European Union. To be more precise, they have a data center in Switzerland. So it's possibly the most secure space as you could imagine. And also they have servers in Germany, hosted by the German telecoms system, and also Microsoft Azure, which is also in Germany or in Central Europe. And they also offer an on-premise solution. So for example, if a school is interested in these interactive whiteboarding, but they don't want to go cloud-based, they can also customize the tool that it works on the servers of the school on the universities. In addition to this, you can give access rights. You can just share the collaboration feature by providing links or QR codes. You can import all different document types, and you have an endless canvas as well. So very easy to use as well. And also it comes with a lot of ready-made templates to ease your way to teach. Okay, this was it in a nutshell. So a full set of hardware, a full set of software to enrich your education practice lesson. And now let's see how it will look like. Let me point out that in this presentation, I'm just using tools which are either part of the operating system or of Microsoft Office. So what I assume is possibly accessible for most of the teachers all over the world. Or they are basically open source software, or they basically have versions which are with no cost, with no additional cost for the teacher or the student. This is very important. So there's no huge effort in software with all the examples I will show now. Okay, I will quit my PowerPoint here. It's now also asking me if I want to keep my annotations as part of my presentation, or if I want to discard it, I will get rid of it. And yeah, let's start with Microsoft Office. Office has a very long support of pen-based input. I think the first Office version was Office 2003, so more than, I would say, 15 years ago. There was the first pen module inside, and it has significantly developed since then. So, for example, if you have a WACOM pen tablet or any other device using a pen, could be also Microsoft Surface in this case, connected to your Windows, and you open Office, you will have a new point here, which is in the menu, which is called Draw. And this you also have on the Office package for Office 365 for macOS operating systems. This is quite new. This is not that long implemented, but it's now also part of the macOS platform. And here, if you go to Draw, you will find drawing tools. No surprise. And all these drawing tools can be completely customized already. So some of them are presets. So we have, I would say, 4 presets you can change and choose between. Let's go for a slide like this one. And I can use my pens here and to do handwritten annotations. So I'm no longer in presentation mode. I'm now in basically editing mode. So there's no cursor control. I really use my WACOM pen to do drawings here. Very nice, very easy, and also pressure sensitive. I can also change the pen features. I can change the thickness of the pen. I can change the colors of the pen. So, and those settings will be stored in my preset in here. I also have some nice and fancy colors, like, for example, if you do lessons for kindergarten or primary school, they really love the rainbow pens because it adds another small angle of acceptance by seeing that it looks really nice and fancy and it's not everything is black and white here. So just a small minor detail, but not to underestimate the effect on your audience and on the students, especially if you're kindergarten and primary school. And of course you have highlighters, so, and erasers, so you can get rid of the stuff. Pretty straightforward, and as you could already see, very close to the pen and paper experience. But there's more, and there are also a different, I would say, widgets as part of the Office system. So you have some tools like ink to shape, you have ink to mark and ink to text. So let me show you what you can do here. In PowerPoint, I use, for example, now a thinner pen in red. I can do some handwriting. And you see my handwriting is not very nice. So it's really, for me, even hard to recognize what it is. And I want to turn this into editable text to add to my PowerPoint slides. How to do this? Here is my lasso tool. And with my lasso tool, I mark this one. And now I click on ink to text. And now the handwriting recognition of Microsoft Windows kicks in. And as you could see here, it gives me now my handwriting here in editable text. Now I can use this one to put it all around my PowerPoint presentation. So it's text like I would have typed it with my keyboard, and it has it created out of my handwriting. So very easy. Some more tools like this one here. We have a shape recognition, ink to shape. You can just do the lasso tool, click on ink to shape, and it's trying to get a perfect shape out of it. So you can do it only with one shape. As I mentioned, it was a bit irritated. So for example, this is my triangle. Let's see if it can recognize it. Yeah, it does recognize my triangle. So this is just small little helpers, which can also basically bring your handwritten input or your noted down drawings into a more formal space. I personally, I would say, I do not really like the ink to shape, ink to mask. Because of the intuitiveness and acceptance by my users, I want to keep my standard imperfect shape drawing here. Okay, and there's more. There's also a nice feature. It's called ink to mask. So let me get rid of my shapes here quickly for you. Okay. Ink to mask, it gives you 2 ways. So you can have a formula here, like this one, which is a parable. I can use my lasso tool, click on ink to mask, and it's giving me here a formula. And this is quite nice because it's using exactly the formula tools as you would have in the Microsoft Office tools. This is for PowerPoint. So let's go into some other software. But let's stay in the Office package. Next one is probably Word, which is also the second most used in an educational context. So you use PowerPoint to do your presentations, to keep your presentations lively and engage your students. You use the pen all the time to do handwritten annotations. But for example, if you prepare your lessons, if you do your homework, if you check the homework of your students, you would probably do them either as a Word document, they send in you doc files, or you would do it in PDF. Let's start with the Word. So here I just opened a Word document. It can be any Word document. And now I'm already seeing, okay, I have drawing tools in here as well, and they look familiar. They look very similar to the one you have seen in PowerPoint. You can also adjust the same set of tools here. So for example, if I would be a teacher, I would use my red pen, and I can also have a pencil. The pencil I use in green, make it a bit thicker. And now I can work and annotate this one. Pretty much, let's keep it as a sticky in the menu. I can do it like I would do on paper. I can use a highlighter here. You can already see it's exactly the same workflow as traditional pen on paper experience. So again, no learning curve. Also, if you are, if this is your day one in the digital teaching experience, it doesn't make any difference to your traditional learning. Just replace the medium from paper to Word or PDF. And there's more. Again, there is an ink to mask formula here. This is a bit different. So there is also handwriting recognition. Let's start with that one. Let's do my formula here. Let's make something different. You can do your lasso tool. You can click, sorry, no, not into shape. You can go here. Okay, doesn't work. But if I now want to go into handwriting, it behaves a bit different in Word. So let me get rid of this one, because Word really offers something different. They give us a different math input panel in here. Let me get rid of this one again. And for example, if I click ink to mask here, it comes up with a math input control panel. This is different from PowerPoint, as you could remember. And this comes up with an input panel. It recommends me, okay, write math here, and I can do my formula, and I have basically a real-time handwriting recognition going on. And here I can already see what is the result of the handwriting recognition. I can still correct it, I can clear it, I can erase it, and I can insert it. And now, as you could see here, it's now part of my document. And since it's part of my document here, I can put it on whatever position in my document. Let's make it a bit more clear here. And it's full editable text, and I can use all the advanced equation options of my Microsoft Windows Word system. So I can use the whole construction kit of formulas even in Microsoft Word. Very straightforward, very easy to use, and I can also save it as a new equation in my document, and here we go. Okay, so as you could already see, very, very similar to my experience I have in PowerPoint or any other applications. Excel, you have the same. Let's open a blank workbook in Excel. You have the same drawing tools in here, and you can also do directly drawing into your Excel documents as well, possibly not so frequently used in school environments, but worth to mention at all. Last but not least, let's stay within the Office package. There's Microsoft OneNote, which is another nice tool, which is completely pen-centric and also built by Microsoft to use with a pen. This is basically a notebook page where you can add pages, and everything you can do here you can control by handwriting. So even if I add a page here in my WACOM section, I can use a pen to give it a name. Okay, that was it for the Office package. So as you could already see, as a recap, all Office applications, especially if you talk about Office 365 on Windows, on Macintosh platform, have advanced drawing tools, which helps you as a teacher or as a student to enrich your way to present and work with your students on content. And I want to show you one application which is basically also free of charge. It is called Colorboard PDF. You can download it free of charge in the Microsoft Store. And it is basically designed to work around a pen. And let me open this one. So this is Drawboard PDF. I can pick one of my recent PDF files, and here you can already see the whole interface is not cluttered at all with different windows. It's very clean. So you have your PDF document in the center, and you have just a few toolbars here, but you can even, I would say, disable most of them. And the key thing you have here is, oh yeah, this was also quite nice. It is for left and right-handed users. So if you are right-handed, for me, you have the tools on the right side. If you're left-handed, you can simply swap the UI to make it also work for lefties. But what I like really with this application is that it can control everything with the pen. I don't need a mouse or a keyboard here. And this wheel here really helps me to make my own toolkit. So this is my control wheel, I would say. So what I can do here is I can use different tools. I have a highlighter, eraser, and some pens. I have a penning tool here, which I can use, for example, if I increase here my zoom level, I can use the penning tool to move within the applications. Exactly built, I have built these tools for my specific task. So now we have talked about hardware, we have talked about some software, and last but not least, let me finish these lessons also with another piece of software, which is basically free of charge because it's part of the Windows 10 operating system. And you probably have already noticed, if you have connected a pen tablet to your Windows PC and the pen is detected, you will have the Windows Ink workspace in the status bar down here. And this you can only see if you have a pen device connected to your Windows system. So if I click on Windows Ink workspace, it gives me the full screen snip and the whiteboard. And let's look at the whiteboard at the moment. The whiteboard feature is a very nice one because it's coming from Microsoft. It's not new. It is available since a couple of years as an additional download already for Windows 7 via the Microsoft Store. But since, I would say, mid-2019, it's part of the Microsoft Windows operating system. So let me click on this one. And this is the default settings. The whiteboard opens up, and I can log in here with my Microsoft ID. And when doing this, I'm making sure that all my whiteboards are stored in my OneDrive profile. And I can also share a whiteboard to collaborate with the students or with other teachers if I want. But step by step. So as you could already see, I have already some whiteboards here in my classroom for math, physics, and biology. There are some content in here. But let's start with a blank whiteboard. And those whiteboards are also almost infinite, I would say. So I can zoom in, zoom out. I can pen in between. And the rendering is quite nice, so because it's using pressure levels in handwriting as well. And this one looks familiar to you as well. So you have the pens with the different characteristics. You have an eraser. All the tools you know already from the Microsoft Office package. Here you can already see it has, by default, it has a shape recognition enabled, and you can deactivate this if you want here in the menu settings. But what I like with the whiteboard is, for example, if I do a presentation and want to have a quick table to compare stuff, usually I would have to import an Excel table here to do something. But if I want to do something really quick, I can just draw a square and divide the square with just some lines, and bam, here's my table. And now I can fill in content in this table, and the table resizes the cells automatically. Very easy, very convenient. This is enabled by the ink to table functionality. If I don't like this, I can still disable this if I want. Okay, what else? So I have tools like the sticky notes, and sticky notes are also quite nice because it's directly using handwriting recognition to give them a title. This is what you probably expect from a standard whiteboard software. You would also expect that you can import PDF documents in here, that you can import Word documents, and PowerPoint documents. Let's do the Word document import, which is quite nice. I use my Word document, which I had recently, and it scans the Word document saying, okay, you have multiple pages here. Do you want to insert all pages? No, I don't. I want to just insert page number 1. Now I can move my page wherever I want it. I can resize my page if I want. So I'm completely flexible here. And then I can use my tools in here to do the annotation. The difference between that one and Word is this is now part of my whiteboard, and the original Word document will not be changed. However, there's more, and there's one feature I like particularly. For example, if you do biology lesson, you have prepared some pictures to show the class. You would go to the library images and would go, okay, let's talk about the human cells. Let's take a picture of a cells. It floats into my whiteboard. I can have it. Now I can start discussing with my students about the things like the cytoplasm, the cell membrane, you name it. However, then if you are an interactive session, the students might ask, okay, but please, can you tell us a bit more about the ribosomes? Okay, can you show us a picture of a ribosome? And you necessarily don't have a picture of them. You start browsing the internet, open the internet browser, go to Google, type in ribosome, pick an image, check if the image is under Creative Commons, so you can allowed to use it one. It's very complicated, and it interrupts your workflow, your flow in your lesson. And the nice thing with the Microsoft Whiteboard is it has a feature, it's called Bing Image. It doesn't say anything at the moment, but Bing is the search engine for Microsoft, so the pendant to Google. And if I click on Bing Image, it goes into my handwriting mode, and I can search, for example, for ribosome. Okay, and it does a good job here in recognizing my ribosome, and it searches the internet and gives me everything which he is linked or tagged to ribosome. And the nice thing is, by default, it shows me only the Creative Commons images. That means image which I can use without infringing any copyright. So I can use and share on my own. So yeah, just let me pick one, like that one. I can say, okay, I want to add this one. And now I can basically link this one, and I can do a quick link from the ribosome in here and continue my school lesson. Very intuitive and very easy also to use, and it's not breaking the flow of my lesson. So Bing Image is really a nice feature, which is also part of some of the online whiteboarding lessons I have on the market. Okay, and if I want to participate with my students and work with my students on the same collaboration input, I can invite someone by just clicking here, create a web sharing link, and then it takes a couple of seconds. Microsoft Whiteboard is now creating this link. I can copy the link, put them into a chat window, can put them into an email, share it with my students, and then all the students who have that link can log into my whiteboard here, can see what I see, and can work with me interactively on the content. And ideally, in this case, the students have a tablet as well, so they can also do handwritten annotations on these whiteboards. So this is even a scenario which is hard to mimic in a traditional classroom situation, because you cannot call 20 people to the whiteboard or to the blackboard to work with you on the same content. This is only possible if you are working in digital. Okay, last but not least, you can also export this stuff. You can just export the whole drawing surface. You can either export as a PNG bitmap file, or if you want to print it out into a bigger file, into a bigger size, you go for the high quality image, which is scalable vector graphics, which can be, I would say, blown up infinitely in theory without losing quality. Okay. Last but not least, one application which I want to finish that one. It's also an application on the market for quite some years. It's called OpenBoard. Let me open this one. So OpenBoard is an application coming from a Swiss university, and WACOM was always engaged with these people since many, many years, and we worked a bit, or we supported them working on the app. And OpenBoard is basically an application which is an interactive whiteboard. As you could see here, it's a whiteboard application. You have tools like pens, you have highlighters and all that stuff. So far, nothing special. What makes it quite unique is that you don't work in documents. Whatever you do, if you add pages, it will be automatically saved here. And of course, you can add content. You can add PowerPoints, you can add images, all the same stuff I've just recently showed you. What makes it quite unique is this part here with the small widgets and small applications. So you can basically add stuff like a ruler in here. You can pull in a ruler, and with the ruler you can basically also use this as a tool. You can have triangles in here. So you can pull in traditional, I would say, educational tools to work with. You can have, this is what I like, you can pull in a magnifier glass. So with the magnifier glass, you can magnify any content you have just imported. It doesn't matter if you are importing websites or office documents. So you have a lot of these small widgets, I would say here, available. And these widgets are all free to use. So you have Wikipedia widgets, you have video widgets. So it would definitely be worth to have a separate lesson only on the widgets in OpenBoard. But what I want to show you in OpenBoard is a nice feature which makes it quite unique, because it's not only a whiteboard, it gives you also the opportunity to annotate on any application, even if the application is not supporting, for example, pen functionality. For example, if you want to explain to your students how a Windows Explorer window would look like or would work, and you want to do this with highlighting tools and annotating tools, there's no way to do this unless you use OpenBoard. Let me show you how. Here's a small icon, Show Desktop. If I click on Show Desktop, it gives me my Windows desktop. Everything is minimized. I can put this, oops, sorry. I can control my Windows desktop. So I just can double click here, can open my Windows. But what I want to do now is I can now choose my tools, like my pointer. And now I can say, okay, let's have a look at my music folder. And you see, it would annotate directly on the Windows desktop. It actually technically not on the Windows desktop, but on top on the Windows desktop. And I can have all the tools here. I can have basically, oops, as a highlighter. Okay, the color is now bluish. It's possibly not the best one, but this can be, of course, changed. I have used some highlighting tools like the red dot, and I can use the eraser as well. So this is the unique thing with OpenBoard in desktop mode. You can have whatever application on the Windows you can annotate. And of course, if you want to share this later on with your students, yeah. And this is OpenBoard, again, free of charge for Windows, Macintosh, and even Linux operating system. And it works perfectly with WACOM tablets. This was it from my side. Thank you for watching, and also thank you for working with us. Oh, I see my camera windows just stuck here. However, we are happy to support you in any questions. So just come back to us, talk to the guys. If you have any questions regarding how to use WACOM tablets in the educational context, just let us know, and we are happy to help. Thank you for watching.